Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you the morning after Arsenal's first pre-season friendly of the summer, and it's certainly like they've never been away, isn't it? Missed chances at one end, defensive calamities at the other end, all equalled up to Arsenal losing 2-1 at Hibernian last night. I'm sure you all watched it, or you've seen the goals and the mistakes that led to the Hibernian goals, the missed chances at the other end for Arsenal. Like I said, Arsenal well and truly back in business when you see a game like that. So we'll talk about that game, talk about a lot of stuff that Mikel Arteta had to say to the media after that match as well. And then have a little bit of a look ahead to Saturday's game at Rangers, as the games start to become sort of thick and fast now for Arsenal as we head towards the start of the new Premier League season. I hope everyone is well. A little message to the guy I met outside the gym yesterday. I didn't actually catch your name, which I thought afterwards I should have asked your name. Totally rude of me. Apologies for that. But anyway, thanks for stopping me and saying hello. I hope you had a good workout at the gym afterwards. And yeah, I'm sure I'll bump into you again at some point. I'll definitely will ask your name that time. All right, let's get going. Arsenal versus Hibs. So disappointing result. I mean, the result doesn't really matter at this stage of the summer. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but the fact is it doesn't. I mean, Arsenal have had very good results in pre-season before and then started the league badly. So, you know, it doesn't really matter. Mikel Arteta is not going to lose too much sleep over the fact his side lost last night. But you want to get some sort of momentum going during the summer, so you don't want these results to continue. You want to start picking up some wins just to get that winning feeling ahead of the season. I didn't think Arsenal played too badly yesterday. In fact, I thought in the second half they played pretty well. Looked pretty decent going forward. They just didn't take their chances. They hit the woodwork a couple of times, missed chances. Finally got the goal through Rowe, but from that point they were already 2-0 down because we saw the disaster for Arthur Okonkwo in the first half when he completely miscued his clearance. Yes, it was a poor back pass from Cedric. It wasn't easy for the teenage goalkeeper to deal with, but I think you've got to head that away rather than trying to kick it. And I'm sure if he was playing as he normally does for the under-23s, you know, that would have been second nature. Just headed it away and be done with it. But he was clearly nervous. There'd been a couple of things just before that where he sort of dropped across as well. Clearly he was suffering from nerves. It was his first start for the senior side, and felt sorry for him. He did make a decent enough save after that, which will make him feel a little bit better. And I'm sure we'll see him in action again against Rangers. And look, it was a horrible moment for him, but he's a very highly rated young goalkeeper. He's just signed his new contract. Arsenal very happy with him. So I don't think we should be worried too much about that. I mean, Mikel was asked about him afterwards. He said it's his debut, so he was excited. He has earned his place in the first team with everything he's done at academy level, and unfortunately it started like that, but things will get better. He'll have another chance on Saturday, so hopefully he can get better then. It's time to support him. He's our third choice goalkeeper, and we need to give him confidence. So yeah, I mean, that was a mistake. The second goal was poor as well. I do think he was offside. I'm pretty sure if VAR was there yesterday, it just looked, I only saw one replay, but he looked offside to me when the header came back from the far post. It just did. I'm pretty sure he was about a yard offside, but I think Mikel said that afterwards in his press conference as well when he was talking to the media. But the fact that the guy at the back post was left unmarked to get the header back in, you know, you want to deal with that a lot better. So it was still a bit of a defensive error, even if the guy who actually scored it was in an offside position. And Arsenal are going to have to get better than that. Hibs did look a little bit threatening when they got forward. They hit the post as well in the first half, but I mean, Arsenal had more than enough chances. You think of that miss, Eddie Nketiah in the first half. I mean, he's got to score that. He did well to win possession, but then you go through one-on-one, you can't miss. You certainly can't miss a target. It was really poor from Nketiah. Reece Nelson had a couple of chances he didn't take in the first half. Nicolas Pepe hit the bar with a free kick. Thomas Partey hit the post with a free kick. Rowe had a chance that he didn't score. Balogun somehow didn't get a touch to Bellerin's cross from the right hand side. And there was so many chances for Arsenal. They should have won that game comfortably. And they're just going to have to be more ruthless because it's a issue that they had all of last season, didn't take their chances, and that always ends up costing you, especially when you're prone to the odd defensive error at the back, because you will be punished at the other end. So, early warning signs for Mikel there, and you can't really say too much you're surprised because you're still looking at the same sort of team there. Nuno Tavares wasn't playing yesterday. He didn't get his paperwork finished in time. Mikel was asked about him, why he didn't play, and he said he didn't have all the paperwork necessary to be involved today, but hopefully that will all be ready to go and he can have his debut on Saturday against Rangers. Tavares is obviously up there in Scotland during the training camp. Arsenal were hoping that he was going to make his debut yesterday. Clearly didn't get all the necessary paperwork done for him to do that after his move from Benfica. But yeah, Mikel certainly seems to think he will play on Saturday. But apart from that, it's the same team. Yes, there's a few youngsters in that, but other than, still starting that game with El Neni, Cedric, Kolasinac was back, Mari, Orba, Willian, Nelson and Ketia. So it's the same sort of team. Even in the second half, there was lots of changes. I thought they were much better in the second half. Pepe, Smith Rowe, Lacazette particularly, I thought were really, really bright. But you've still got the same sort of players there as we've had the last couple of seasons. So you're still going to see the same mistakes. And that's the early warning signs for Arteta. It's just a clear example, again, that he needs to get a little bit of new blood into this team, freshen things up a little bit. He's only made one signing so far, which was Tavares. We're expecting Albert Lokonga will be confirmed very, very shortly once his isolation period in the UK is over and he can complete that move. But Mikel was asked about transfers after the game and he said, where is it? Said we've got one for now and we're really happy with the one that we have. Unfortunately, he could not play. Maybe he can play Saturday. We'll work with the other players that we have, try to make them better and compete as best we can. So he was a little bit coy when it came to transfers. He didn't really give too much away in terms of what's to come for Arsenal. But we know Lokonga is to come, and then it's a case of who do you get over the line after that. Do you get the Ben White deal done pretty swiftly? Do you look to wrap up and move for Ruben Neves? Those talks with Wolves still haven't led to a bid. Do you try and make that move and get that one done? Do you wait until see what happens to Locatelli? Time is ticking for Arsenal at the moment. I just thought that game yesterday and the way it went was a little bit of an early warning sign for them that they can't afford to rest on their laurels too much this transfer window. They've got to get things done. They've got to make some moves and they've got to freshen this squad up. So Mikel talking about some of the players after the game. Clearly he was always going to be asked about Emile Smith Rowe and Aston Villa, and he was very, very defiant in his answer. When he was asked if Smith Rowe going to stay, he said without a question, yes, he will stay here 100%. And then he was asked, what did he think about those bids from Aston Villa? And he just replied, no comment, which I think says it all. And it's certainly the feeling that is all around Arsenal at the moment when it comes to Aston Villa trying to buy Emile Smith Rowe. It was never going to be something they considered. They laughed it off the first time. They laughed it off the second time. They still believe that they're very close to getting this move, this contract done for Smith Rowe. They're confident that it will be signed and he will be an Arsenal player for the long term. And Mikel making it clear there in his response exactly what he thought of it all. Smith Rowe got his goal yesterday. I thought he was very good when he came on. Him, Lacazette and Pepe particularly I thought were really, really bright. Certainly improved Arsenal. I thought the second half they were miles better going forward than they were in the first half. Smith Rowe got his goal. Mikel saying after the game that he knows that's an area he's got to work on, he's got to improve. No doubt that Arsenal need more goals this season from the likes of Smith Rowe, from the likes of Saka. They've got to take the pressure off the forwards. Arsenal didn't score enough goals from midfield, certainly from the attacking midfield. Take Nicolas Pepe out of it last season, they just didn't really score much at all. And you've got to improve on that. Smith Rowe's got to be looking at about 10 goals this season. Same for Bukayo Saka. And good start for him yesterday with that volley. Not the cleanest of hits, but he'll take it. And I think also when you sort of look at the way he ended last season with a couple of goals, and he's got this one in pre-season, maybe he is beginning to make more of an impact in the final third, certainly in and around the penalty area, which is what you want to see for Smith Rowe, because he's certainly got the ability to score plenty of goals from that attacking midfield area. So one of the players who could potentially score goals for Arsenal, we know can score in the Premier League, is Joe Willock, but the fact is he might not be here to do it. It's interesting, I thought, Mikel Arteta's comments about Joe Willock after the game yesterday, just before the match started. A couple of stories went live. The Times reporting that Arsenal and Newcastle back in talks for Joe Willock. Newcastle pressing for another season-long loan deal for Willock with an obligation to buy, and that negotiations are ongoing between the clubs. We know that Willock is absolutely a first-choice target for Newcastle this summer, which is no surprise given what he did for them at the end of last season. Scored 7 games in a row in the Premier League to end last season for Newcastle. But Newcastle don't have much money. Mike Ashley doesn't want to spend too much money because he's trying to sell the club, blah, blah, blah. I've heard it all before. And so they only want him on loan. Now, ideally, Arsenal wouldn't want him to sell him, wouldn't want him to go on loan. If they're going to part ways with Joe Willock, they'd want a decent offer to tempt them into doing business. That doesn't seem to be forthcoming. This whole thing that we've seen with Hector Bellerin and Newcastle and Inter Milan as well, in terms of loan and obligation to buy. We've seen it with Guendouzi. This is what clubs want to do this summer because no one's got any money. And ideally for Arsenal, you look at Joe Willock, he's one of their prime assets when it comes to raising funds to help them bring in players they want to bring in this summer, if they actually want to sell Joe Willock. And this is what Mikel Arteta had to say about the young midfielder when he was asked, why he wasn't involved yesterday and about possible move to Newcastle. He said he wasn't involved today because he had a little groin issue. He trained yesterday really well, but we didn't want to risk him. Joe is part of our plans. He's our player, and in the time that he is here, we will try and make the most of him. He had great experience on loan. He was, I think, one of the most important players for Newcastle's survival. Now, that one just felt a little bit like manager talk for me, that response. When you compare it to Smith Rowe and how absolutely adamant that was, he stays 100%. You compare it to that, the whole Joe is part of our plans, he's our player, and in the time that he is here, we will try to make the most of him. That's not for me an absolute flat out, he is not going, we are not selling, he is going to be here next season. It's for me very much up in the air what Arsenal are going to do with Joe Willock. Yes, he is up in in Scotland at the moment with the training camp. We were expecting him to be involved yesterday. Apparently he's got this injury again. Whether that's a bit of a smokescreen from Arsenal, we'll find out, I'm sure, over as the next couple of days progresses. But Newcastle certainly appearing to sort of step up their attempts to bring Joe Willock back to St James's Park. For me, it's an interesting one. I don't know. I still look at Joe Willock and I'm not sure if what he achieved at the end of last season is something he can continue. I mean, he's not going to continue scoring at that rate, whatever happens, but I'm still not sure I don't see his ceiling as being a potential Saka or a Smith Rowe. I don't think he's as good as that. But, you can't underestimate what he achieved last season when he was in Newcastle, scoring in 7 Premier League games in a row for them, especially when you're a team like Arsenal who don't score many goals from midfield. So it is a big decision for them, for the club to make when it comes to his future. Do you want to give him one more season out on loan to see exactly what he's got? Because he's not going to play very much at Arsenal if he comes here. So, for his development, that's not exactly fantastic. So maybe a loan is a better option rather than deciding to cash in now. It'd be good to get one further real look at exactly what he can achieve playing week in, week out in the Premier League before making your decision. But again, you look at it and think, is this Arsenal's best opportunity to make a lot of money for Joe Willock? I don't think. I'm not sure if it was in the Times article yesterday, but they were talking about like 19 million for Willock with this obligation to buy, and I don't think that's a bid that Arsenal should entertain. I think when you look at what other young English players have gone for in the last couple of years, I know this year's a little bit different with the COVID situation and the finances that the clubs have, but still, I think given what he achieved at the end of last season, you were in a very strong position when it comes to Joe Willock. Even if he has opted against signing a new contract, I think you could still look for around sort of at least 25 million for him. So it's an interesting one. I'm intrigued to see what Arsenal are going to do when it comes to him. And basically, it's going to be a case of what Newcastle offer, I think. I think if Newcastle offer enough, then Arsenal probably will think, this is a good time to sell. But if they're only offering sort of 15 to 19 million or whatever it is, I'm not sure that's going to be enough to tempt Arsenal into doing business permanently for Joe Willock. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Mikel obviously asked about Bukayo Saka after yesterday's game. Saka on holiday at the moment. He's got 3 weeks off after his exploits for England at Euro 2020. Clearly, he's been very much in the headlines at the moment. I said yesterday about how Arsenal sort of rallied round in support of Saka. We've had even Josh Kroenke's reached out to Saka, got involved. Vinay, Mikel, the players, they've all involved. And Mikel was asked about him yesterday, and he said, look, yes, I have been in touch. We all have, I think, spoken to him and sent messages. And when he was asked about how do you think Saka's going to deal with what's happened, the heartache of what happened against Italy in the final, and obviously what's followed with the social media abuse, that sort of thing, Mikel said he will be fine. He is such a strong character. He's received a lot of love and support from world football, not only with Arsenal but the national team and all the English fans, because he doesn't deserve anything like what he has been through. Now, from what I know, and I don't know Bukayo personally or anything like that, But from what I know of him and people I've spoke to who know him very well and be around him, for such a young man, he is such a strong character, like Mikel said there. And fingers crossed, it's going to be a real painful time for him. But once he goes away, has a little bit of breather, has a bit of holiday, then he comes back to the club where he's going to have this protective bubble all around him, have his mates all around him. He's going to quickly sort of put what happened at the end of that Italy game to bed, and he can really focus on the coming season for Arsenal, because let's face it, Arsenal need a fit and flying and confident Bukayo Saka in their team going forward next season, because when he plays well, Arsenal plays well. So hopefully, fingers crossed, Bukayo will come back and will be ready to hit the ground running in a few weeks' time. So next up for Arsenal, Rangers on Saturday. They're staying in Scotland, continue to train there for the next couple of days. Then they go to Rangers, play Steven Gerrard's side at Ibrox, 2 p.m. kickoff on Saturday. Then it's back to London for them, couple of days at London Colney, and then they all fly off to America for the Florida Cup, where they'll be playing Inter Milan, and then either Everton or Millonarios in their second game before heading back to London. So pre-season now, banging action for Arsenal. Started with a defeat. Hopefully they can get back on the winning trail on Saturday at Rangers and start to build a little bit of momentum as we go through the summer towards the start of the season. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Please do keep your eyes peeled as always on my social media feed for all the latest Arsenal news, and at goal.com as well. We've got it all covered for you. Until then, have a very good day. I'll speak to you soon.